Hey there, good evening, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I'm the host of this show, a show dedicated to prog music, heavy metal, hard rock, and other forms of rock music. So today we're working on our series, episode 20 of Rock's Greats Who Thrilled Us But Have Since Passed On. Okay, tonight's episode 20 features two people who were drummers, two more drummers, who I quite like. One of them especially, she was going to be the number one today no matter what. I did have three down and decided to go with only one of the other two, and chose because I wanted to do something with the band he was with. Okay, so anyways, we'll do her first. So we're talking, of course, about Karen Carpenter, legend, great vocalist, one of the greatest female vocalists ever, I think. The only one who I like more is probably Ann Wilson. And the only reason I like Ann Wilson more, yes, I love her voice, and yes, I love the way she looks, and just about everything about her, but it's her music is more my style and more accessible to me than Karen's was. But definitely Karen Carpenter was one of the greatest vocalists of all time. So anyways, we'll get underway with doing Karen Carpenter first, since she passed first, and that's normally the way I handle it. Whoever passes first gets to go first. Okay, in the case of Karen Carpenter, she was born March the 2nd, 1950 in New Haven, Connecticut. She died February the 4th, 1983 in Downey, California. The music she was performing in, pop, easy listening to, soft rock, jazz. Those were the normal genres that she was in. She was a drummer first, then a vocalist, although the vocalist is what she's known for. Years active, 1968 to 1983. And of course, she is the younger sister by 3 years to Richard Carpenter, and they formed a band called the Carpenters. Okay. So she has a 3-octave range voice, which is really good, I think, really good. And she had such a smooth voice too, almost angelic, I think. So anyways, they recorded oh yeah, okay, so anyways, she and her brother formed this band called Dicky Carpenter with another guy, and she was the drummer, and then they had a female vocalist for a while. That didn't really work out too well, so then her brother convinced her that she should do the singing, but she thought of herself as a drummer first, vocalist second. So at first she was still playing the drums and singing on the albums, but when they got in concert, they decided to move her out front. It was something they were lacking. They didn't really have a front man, so she became the front woman, so to speak, front person if you prefer. Anyways, and she was very angelic, very well liked, had a presence on stage, always seemed to be happy, although to me she's known as the sad woman. Anyways, what can I tell you about her? Yeah, so she played drums, then eventually became the vocalist. Their parents, funny enough, were all enthusiastic about Richard becoming a musician. That's what they wanted. So when he succeeded, they were very happy. Karen's success just took them by surprise. I don't think that they were not happy that happened. I just think they were taken by surprise. They didn't expect it. With him, he'd always been into music. He started playing music when he was 3 and continued his whole life, so it was kind of expected he would do something in music, but it wasn't really expected from Karen. So her success was they really didn't know quite how to handle it at first. So anyways, she became the lead vocalist, and eventually they replaced her on the drums with somebody else full time, at least while they were touring, because she couldn't do both. So the things, of course, Karen Carpenter is known for a couple of things. First, the first post I think is her singing. They had lots of hits. She was quite the vocalist, but also she's known, of course, as having anorexia nervosa, which eventually through complications, caused her to have a heart attack and die prematurely at the age of 32. Couple things I wanted to make a note of. Okay, so she got married. She was married about 14 months. She wanted to have children, but the man she chose, which I'm not going to name him because I don't care for the guy. Anyways, he had a vasectomy and refused to get it reversed. So this kind of made the marriage go south. So after they separated, she redid her will, left him the house and all the contents of the house, but everything else, her money, all of her belongings and everything, she left to her family and to Richard, her brother, part of their family. She's close to her family. They're a very family-oriented person. Anyways, and there was one other note that I found kind of amusing. It's a little amusing story. The Playboy readers, the readers of Playboy magazine, voted her the best drummer, and she narrowly beat out John Bonham. Kudos. Kind of funny though. Anyways, when the band formed, like I said, they released album after album, and she did. They had this hiatus period where they weren't touring, and she did her own solo album, which wasn't released until after her death. Excuse me, I'm coughing too much now. I should have had a drink here, but I didn't. Anyways, personally, I like her a lot. I think she's one of the best vocalists. I enjoy the sound of her voice. I think it's very angelic. She was very smooth in her delivery, and she could make a song, being that it's pop or easy listening and soft rock, it's not something I normally listen to. In fact, I almost never listen to it, but I would listen to it if she was singing, because she just had a way of making it a great song. You know, just a pleasant experience as well. I just love the sound of her voice. So anyways, there you have it. And then of course she died due to complications involving her eating. And I want to make it sound like her eating just happened because of, like, it got worse because of her breakup of her marriage. She had a hard time with that, and so eating was a harder problem. But she'd had this for some time, diets and stuff like that, and at one point she was down to about 91 pounds. Sad, really is. And she's often viewed as the sad person. I often think of her as the sad vocalist, which is really sad in a way because she's such a great singer. So there you have it, the legendary one and only Karen Carpenter. And now we're going to do my second choice, which was a battle between two people. I might have chosen the one guy, but because I talked about him before in one of the other episodes, and I wanted to talk about the Beach Boys, I decided to pick Dennis Wilson. Dennis Wilson was the drummer for the Beach Boys, the middle of two brothers. And the other guy that he beat out was Muddy Waters, who I was going to do as a 3-episode thing, but I didn't really want to do that, so he'll come in the honorable mentions later. So anyways, Dennis Wilson, Beach Boy. Born December 4th, 1944 in Inglewood, California. Died December 28th, 1983 at the age of 39 in... I can't even read my own handwriting here. Just give me a second. Oh yeah, Monte Del Rey, California. Of course, they were rock and pop. He was a drummer, vocalist, and apparently he played some keyboards too. He was years active, 1961 to 1983, upon his death. And of course, he is the middle brother of the Wilson brothers from the Beach Boys, Brian being the oldest and Carl being the youngest. So anyways, he was viewed as the bit of the black sheep of the family. Their father was quite a violent man and would often beat them. and for some reason Dennis was his main target, because I think Dennis is a bit belligerent and would get in his face, and so he took more of the beatings than the others. He did do some singing. He actually sung one song that did reach number one. I didn't write it down. I don't really think of Dennis Wilson as a singer, although he can sing. He's a pretty good singer. I often think of the other brothers as in that format. The band was formed in 1964. They had, of course, tremendous success together as brothers in the Beach Boys. The one story that I found kind of bizarre was he became friends with Charles Manson in the Manson family, and they all kind of came and stayed with him, and all these Charles Manson, him, and all these women, and they had problems with gonorrhea, and they were getting penicillin shots a lot, and he spent a lot of money foolishly in his life and gave a lot of money away. He even actually moved out of his own house and left them there because he couldn't take them anymore. He started getting disillusioned by them, I guess, as many people would. Anyways, so, and then he had this one incident where he'd come back, and Charles Manson had said something to him to the effect of, see these bullets? You should keep your kids in mind, or something like that. And so he beat him. Wilson beat him. And then that was kind of the end of that for them. Anyways, he did go on to produce a couple solo albums as well. One of them, the Pacific Ocean Blue, that was the name of it, sorry. Boy, I have a hard time reading my own handwriting. And it was released in 1977. It didn't do very well initially. It did get some critical acclaim, but the album itself didn't really do that well commercially, although it did better than the next two Beach Boy albums did. So, anyways, it did much better later on. It ended up selling about 250,000 copies eventually. So, not a bad album. And he did do a second solo album, which was released in 2017, long after his demise. He was also, along with the rest of the Beach Boys, inaugurated in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but of course it was post after he died. Can't think of the word. Anyways, so he ended up his death was, a rock death, I guess, if you want to call it. He got drunk. He was drunk, and he decided to retrieve all of the stuff, his wife's personal belongings that he had thrown in the ocean before. And so he went swimming when he was drunk, and he died, right? And his body was actually buried at sea, which was unusual at that time, because the only people that were allowed to be buried at sea, and I know one was the people in the Navy for the U.S. Marines. I mean, for the U.S. Navy, you could be buried at sea, and there was some other group of people that could be buried at sea as well. Anyways, he got special. They got special permission to bury him at sea from Ronald Reagan, who was president at the time. So that's where he was. He's buried at sea. So there you have it. Dennis Wilson, one of the Beach Boys, one of the brothers Wilson. Great. Another drummer who I like. There was talk at one point that he didn't do all of the drumming on the albums because he wasn't that great of a drummer, but all I've read lately is that he did do all the drumming, and all the songs that you heard on the albums were the drumming was him doing it. So I'm going to take them at their word. So there you have it. My two choices for 1983: Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters. So some honorable mentions, which I think are important. This year had more than most. I'm going to need my glasses for this anyways. So also, I'd like to give honorable mention to Chris Wood and Nancy Kwakaba. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that way, from Traffic. Lamar Williams from the Allman Brothers. Pete Farden from the Pretenders. I'm very familiar with Pete. I like the Pretenders quite a bit. Felix Pappalardi from Mountain, and Muddy Waters, of course, the great blues artist. So all these people pass along and give them kudos. They created a lot of really interesting music for us to listen to. So coming up on Friday will be episode number 21 from 1984. I got a couple of interesting people for that. Monday, if you tuned in last Monday, you saw my Monday night show in which I did a look back to Deep Purple and rock. I hope people enjoyed that. This week coming, we're doing, this Monday coming, we're going to be doing Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith, another really good album. And then coming in April, I'm going to be doing 4 weeks of prog album look backs, and I have the 4 albums picked out, so it should be an interesting month for you prog fans. So Wednesday, Wednesday I just released my earlier this afternoon, or earlier this evening actually. We released our favorite woodwind brass instruments, basically trumpet, flute, and saxophone artists, my top 10 favorite. And I put that out today. I hope people enjoyed that one. I enjoyed making it. I didn't know as much about a lot of the lesser people than the ones that the honorable mentions, but some of the other ones I've been listening to a little bit. So, and then of course Friday Night Live this week, we'll be doing my favorite all-time live album for a live experience, and that is Kiss Alive. I now have it back in my possession. Somewhere here. Where is it? It's at the bottom. Of course it's at the bottom of the stack. There it is, Kiss Alive. Great album. So that's going to be featured this Friday night on my Friday Night Live experience, and I hope that you will enjoy that. I'm also working on creating another show. I have a couple of things in mind, but if anybody else has something that they would like me to do in mind, I'm open to suggestions as well, and maybe I can combine some of the things I'm doing. I may be doing a special album, kind of a recent album review of an album I've gotten, which I'm not going to get into at this moment, but I may be doing that as an independent thing from all my scheduled stuff. So again, I hope everybody likes what I'm doing. If you do, please like and subscribe. If you want me to do something else, let me know. Got any comments, please leave them below. Any suggestions, please leave those below as well. If there's something that you wanted to make a note of that maybe I missed, or something that you think I might have got wrong, please make a note of that as well. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a good evening. From Prog Monster, good night.